All right. Obviously, still following the firestorms when the gates of hell were ripped open in California, Malibu, Pacific Palisades. More than 10,000 buildings gone now. At least 10 people have lost their lives. I am certain that number is going to go higher as they sift through the ashes. I mean, in some places it looks like Hiroshima. It really does. Marc Ang is a guy who went to Pepperdine University. It's in Malibu. He's joining me here on the program today. Marc, thank you for being here.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I mean, when you say hell on earth, I think there was a 48-hour period there where that's exactly what it was. Thankfully, the winds have come down. And look, there's tremendous amount of blame to go around here for failure to be prepared. But on the other side of that coin, I have to be honest, 90-mile-per-hour winds and tinder dry conditions, Mother Nature can be savage, and she was savage this week, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen the footage of people driving along Pacific Coast Highway, which is a drive I used to make almost daily because I worked in Santa Monica and was going to Pepperdine at the time. 17-mile stretch that had multi-million-dollar homes, beautiful, coastline for tourists to, it's a tourist attraction for millions of people coming to, appreciate just the peak of beauty in America. And now that is all looks like a third world war zone. One of the things is, shifting now to the gross negligence of the mayor as well as our governor. This concerted effort for the last 20, 30 years, almost just falling into complacency. In the past, you can see a great example is my alma mater, my former school, university, Pepperdine, has a lot of precautions against fires. That's why they actually instructed most of the current students to shelter and stay in place rather than evacuate because Pepperdine is so safe. Another example I wanted to give you is the Getty Villa that is also right on PCH, and that stretch that got burned, that is intact as well. So there are certain examples, and even in the Palisades, where certain structures had the necessary precautions and have survived this tragedy.
Yeah, look, a lot of this is why I've seen, I think most people have at this point, Marc, the aerial footage of Pacific Palisades. I mean, it's block after block. There's nothing standing except a few trees that may or may not survive. Same thing along PCH, as you said, the Pacific Coast Highway. The sand castles, as they were known, those big mansions along the beach there in Malibu, they're gone. A couple survived miraculously, I don't know, but for the most part, they're gone. I don't know if the structures that are still standing are compromised. It is a different landscape today than it was on Monday morning, isn't it?
Absolutely. And $170 million was cut from the budget. And Karen Bass, last night on social media, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the stuff that was circulated just on Christmas Eve, which is, mind you, after the many fires we had in the main part of the season in the fall of last year. Citing, the fact that they're supposedly trying to keep things safe, they decided to slash the budget, and now we're sitting here looking at 0 operational fire hydrants when those should have been getting regular maintenance, and people should have been attending to the fact that this could happen, especially in an area with so many structures. I mean, we've lost about 2,000 structures now due to regular routine maintenance that should have been done on those fire hydrants that could have helped, certainly, instead of helicoptering in all this water. And instead, Karen Bass, I think it's just so perfect that she was in Ghana at the time this happened.
Out of country, out of touch. One of the things that you haven't touched on yet, Marc, that I really think is critical here is the environmental lobby. The people that claim to care about the forest, the pastures, the people, the little creatures that run around the forest, they're the ones that have stood in the way of cleaning up the forest in large part, the so-called environmentalists who have no idea what they're doing. Environmentalists are political activists. They need to be conservationists so they understand what good forest management is about, good management and good stewardship of the environment, of which they have failed miserably themselves, because that's why all the fuel is there. All the trees are piled up and the brush piled up. And so once these fires start, whatever their cause, there's no stopping them.
Yeah, look, I'm a huge I'm all about conservation of the environment and being, using green energies. So, in fact, I live off grid and on completely on solar, and I built that system and paid cash for it rather than through, our very crooked utility companies, which I can tell you about in a future time. I mean, you saw what happened with PG&E recently up in NorCal. In Southern California, we have Edison, but
Right.
they are in cahoots with this government to basically hurting our consumers, our residents. Um, let me not get started also on the Resnicks, who are a very wealthy family that support Gavin Newsom and support Democratic causes.
And control the water. They control a large portion of the
all-
water to the residents. I understand
yes.
that. But that notwithstanding, if forest maintenance had been done there like it's done in other states, in western states where you have controlled burns, those haven't happened. Cleaning up the forest hasn't happened the way the goats didn't do the job. Mark, I'm sorry, the goats came up short. I got to leave it there,
I
today,
have
but I'd love to
goats
have you
myself.
back. I want to have you back because this is a bigger conversation that's going to be going on for a while, because the aftermath of this firestorm will ripple for, well, probably for decades, actually. Marc Ang, thank you for being here. We got a lot more to talk about sometime soon, my friend. We'll get you back on the schedule. I'll take a break. Sorry, I ran out of time. Man, I could talk to him for the next 2 hours. He knows what's going on there, and he lives off grid, which I think is pretty cool. I'll be right back.